We're live. Are we live? Let's see here. All right, we're live. No viewers yet, but that's okay. I will share the feed again. We got 2 viewers. Thank you. And welcome to the fightforliberty.com. I'm your host, Daniel Chico. We're going to be going through a couple articles today. And last night we had a good broadcast with the RNC, Republican National Convention. We thank you for joining us last night on last night's broadcast / podcast. And we're going to get right into it. We're just going to go on the articles and get right into it. So this first article was published about a day ago, but last night in, I believe it's Coasha, Wisconsin. Of course, if you haven't heard the news about Jacob Blake, who was supposedly an ex-convict, ex-criminal, ex-convicted rapist, who really just he was a criminal. Let's put it at that. He was a criminal. And what had happened is a video. Oh, there goes my camera. Oh. What had happened is a video had surfaced about, I think, over the weekend, so about a week ago, almost a week ago, a video had surfaced of this person named Jacob Blake who was resisting arrest from the police, and he proceeded to just walk just walk away from the officers into his car. And when he went into his car, he supposedly grabbed something, and the officers shot him in the back. And now it's become a George Floyd 2.0 for America. And it's really divided America, and really people say it was justified, others say it was unjustified. I personally believe that he shouldn't have been shot in the back, but I do think that if you're resisting arrest, yes, officers are going to react in a certain way of using force, and they have the right to do that. Now, that doesn't excuse his criminal past, of being shot in the back. And him being shot has nothing to do with his criminal past. I'm not saying that that's justified, but I'm not saying it wasn't justified either. It's a subject that is very in between. I'm mostly leaning towards the fact that it was justified. However, I do think that shooting him in the back is where the controversy really starts. But of course, it's still a white cop on a black a white cop on a black person shooting them, which now it's become a race issue instead of a police brutality issue. And keep in mind, Black Lives Matter continues to run with the race agenda as they did in 2016. Remember, we had riots in 2016 quite often too. So we have to acknowledge that during every 4-year cycle, the election, over the past 2 elections, over the past 8 years, 8 years, I would say, over the past 4 years, we have had riots. And I think that's really strange that over the past 2 elections that we've had riots, and every time they come up is during an election. And of course, when the president was elected, we did see some of that. We seen not Black Lives Matter, but we see different organizations who are anti-fascist or whatever they claim to be, um, protesting the election of the president. I believe that was in November. We saw really bad riots then too. So it was also after the election. I'm sure if he does win again, that there will be more riots, and they'll claim it's more racism. But anyways, this is from Fox News. A day ago, there was more civil unrest in the city where this individual was shot, and there was also more civil unrest in Minneapolis, which I'm covering right now, uh, where they arrested only 11 people in Minneapolis. Keep in mind, 11 people out of the hundreds and close to 1,000 people protesting and rioting. The police have only arrested 11 people. This is another example of the failing system of the police departments across America now. We are seeing a failing system because of the implements of what the state government and the local governments have put into laws, such as police restrictions, and tightening the grip on uh, basically use of force is no longer allowed in police departments. And I guess the rest are no longer allowed either, because we only have 11 people out of the hundreds of people burning and looting. The cops are only man enough to arrest 11 people. And Jacob Blake's father, the individual who was shot, said that his son was left partially paralyzed by the police shooting. At least one officer was injured during the Minneapolis riots, and even more were injured in last night's Kenosha, I think that's how you say it, Kenosha riots in Wisconsin. And during that time, Facebook yesterday removed a page for Kenosha, Wisconsin militia. And keep in mind, militias, as long as they're well organized and well regulated, they are legal and constitutional in America. That is within the Second Amendment states that we are entitled to a well regulated and organized militia. But militias have become um, under target more than these rioters and looters have. Militias are now the villains, according to police departments across America and according to Facebook and social media across America. Militias are the problem, not the rioters, not the looters, not the people who burn down cities, but your local militias are the problem. They're the ones who are the terrorists. Facebook has removed the page for Kenosha, Wisconsin militia group after it organized a call to arms event as a response to protesters demonstrating against the police shooting of Jacob Blake Jr. Now, keep in mind, they always use the word protesters. They never say that these protesters are looting, rioting, basically destroying cities. In some instances, they are protesting, but as soon as it turns night and the sun goes down in these cities, such as the city in Wisconsin, the looters, rioters come out and terrorize, threaten citizens who are in cars. They threaten them and intimidate them, uh, try to hijack their cars, so on and so forth, and call it a form of racism. This article, of course, is from Reuters, um, but according to screenshots shared by The Verge.com, a militia group called Kenosha Guard hosted an event called Armed Citizens to Protect Our Lives and Property, while the group page invited patriots willing to take up arms and defend our city tonight from the evil thugs. Facebook spokesman from the company is investigating the social network organization organized This is what the spokesman said. The crackdown resulted in removal of hundreds of groups in Facebooks and ads linked to militia groups, those encouraging riots, But we know that the majority of this censorship is coming from the and coming against the militias, uh, not the people who are rioting. So it's ridiculous, folks, that we have to deal with this. That people who want to protect their rights, um, protect their property, are now coming under fire from local police departments and social media, because damn social media is too damn biased, and the police departments are coming under too much fire that they have to go after the wrong people. Instead of prosecuting criminals, they are now prosecuting law-abiding citizens who are exercising their First and Second Amendment. And I think that is a real failure on part of the local and state governments, and also the local PD, the police chiefs of the world, are now totally just bowing down to this anti-American agenda, this anti-free speech agenda and Second Amendment agenda. Now, I have a little bit more on race that I will go into later on in the show. But last night, as you guys know, I did a live stream of the RNC. It was live stream day 2. Eric Trump spoke. The Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, who's coming under a lot of fire for speaking, because they're saying it violates the Hatch Act, which I disagree. I don't necessarily think it violates the Hatch Act, but I'm not a big fan of Pompeo, as I stated in last night's broadcast. I do think he's too much into the intelligence agencies, so on and so forth. But moving on from that, Kamala Harris, or whatever you say, Kamala Chameleon, she will be giving a speech on Thursday night, which is tomorrow night, to counter the president's speech, basically. So she wants to counter his speech. And as you remember, I think a couple years ago when I'm not sure if that was this year's State of the Union or the one 2 years ago, the president gave, and the president gave, he gave his speech, and what AOC and Nancy Pelosi did was basically gave a counter speech, and that's exactly what Kamala Harris, Chameleon Harris, is going to do tonight. Tomorrow night, she's going to counter the president's speech. They announced this just hours ago. Harris, the Democratic Party's vice president. This is from The Hill. Harris, the Democratic vice president. Wait. Let me see. I screwed that up. Harris, the Democratic Party's vice president nominee, will speak in Washington, D.C. on President Trump's failure to contain COVID-19 and protect working families from economic fallout. Well, let's break that first sentence down. Protect working families from the economic fallout. Last time I checked, Harris's party did nothing to do that. In fact, President Trump signed a historic bill to protect American families from economic fallouts to begin with the $600 unemployment, with the stimulus checks, and also just now the $300 extra $300 or $400 in some states unemployment, and also cutting the Medicaid and Social Security benefits out from your paycheck until the end of the year. Last time I checked, it wasn't the Democratic Party that did that recently. The Democratic Party is too worried about mail-in ballots, the fraudulent mail-in ballots, which we will also cover in a little bit here at the end of the hour. yeah, um to do the mail-in ballots, the fraudulent mail-in ballots. Like I said, we're going to cover that, and they're too focused on that to protect families from economic fallout. They're not in there trying to negotiate with the Republicans for a new bill. And also, in other news related to that, one of the chief strategists in the White House claims that the stimulus checks may not happen until the end of September. So we might not get another COVID relief plan till the end of September. And by the time that happens, there might be a vaccine or COVID might disappear altogether. I'm not saying it's going to disappear, but I'm sure it will continue. But we are already seeing a drastic drop in cases. This legislation from both sides should have been put into the president's hands by the beginning of the month this year, or this month. It should have been put into his hands to sign off on it or veto it at the beginning of August. But instead, both parties are too busy trying to just make a quick paycheck, then negotiate it. And Nancy Pelosi is too concerned with mail in ballots to even work on a damn COVID relief plan. But instead, the president said, screw both parties. I'm taking actions in my hands and signing this executive order, which he did earlier this month. It has come under some fire, but the backlash hasn't been as bad as the media said. They said that the states probably wouldn't even receive the money. But now we're seeing states like Arizona already start to roll in the benefits. They said that there was going to be a lawsuit for this executive order that he signed. However, the media again caught in lies, caught in basically stretching the truth, and they're trying to claim that the COVID relief funds are going to run out, but now half the states have been approved. Um, it remains to be seen whether those funds will run out, but I am betting against the media in that. I think the funds are going to continue to come in because the media was wrong about the executive order to begin with. They said it would never happen, and now look where we're at. People are receiving their benefits, and the paycheck slash should be coming in a couple of weeks. But to continue, Biden Harris plan to contain COVID-19 and build a different path forward. Former Vice President Joe Biden said in the press release, the Biden campaign is ramping up Harris activities following what was largely well-received address last week, scheduling her for 3 virtual fundraisers online, discussing publishing op-ed discussing women's right to vote. Democrats are hopeful that Harris will be successful to make the case against the second term for Trump, while also appealing to black women. So they bet that she's going to make the appeal, not slow Joe Biden. Um, this is just proof they're putting all their eggs in a basket for her, putting everything behind her, kind of letting Joe fade in the sunset and take a little step to the side for a while. We're going to promote Harris um, for the agenda because Joe just frankly can't speak. He can't speak against Trump. They have to have the vice president speak against Trump. So we all know who the real candidate is. And people have been saying this for months that Joe Biden is a placeholder candidate. And it seems like that is true to the core. Biden continues to take a step back and allow Kamala Harris to almost dominate his campaign. Trump and the GOP have pointed to progressive stance she took during her presidential campaign to cast Biden as a beholden to the party's left flank. So that was from The Hill. And in other news, for the tech news today, we have a little bit of tech news for you. Elon Musk will demonstrate a working Neuralink device live on a live broadcast, which is a high bandwidth brain machine. Neuralink was founded in the summer of 2016 and is actively developing a brain implant machine, basically, that will greatly expedite the flow of information between computers and our brains. On Friday, this Friday at 3 p.m. Pacific time, Neuralink will air a live broadcast to update the public on its progress. According to Musk, the show will feature a working Neuralink device. We still don't know exactly what to expect, but the future certainly looks promising. Back in February, Musk said the potential is truly transformational for restoring brain and motor functions. Indeed, that appears to be primary objective of the product to help those with disabilities restore lost function. Uh, Kind of crazy that we're getting into this AI technology and kind of merging with computers, which a lot of people have been talking about, that these elites are doing to increase their brain functionality, kind of a subhuman kind of thing. They call it, trying to think about the word for it, they call it transhumanism. In transhumanism, an idea is that you can transcend your very mortality of being a human, your very livelihood of being a human. That these elitists really, I don't want to go too conspiracy theory with it, but these elitists promote this transhuman agenda where we transcend death and we merge with AI. And Elon Musk has a fatalist view of AI, in my opinion. The one thing I do strongly disagree with him is his love for artificial intelligence. Basically, he has this idea of merge or die. Join AI or suffer the consequences of the ever changing world of technology. That's basically Elon Musk's view of it, that AI is going to become so powerful that pretty soon it's going to become like a Skynet type of thing. And I've been saying this for years. We continue to program our artificial intelligence when we use our devices such as Alexa, when we use Google just to search something. Our very personality is within these things. If we really think about it, we think that we're just looking something up, but we don't really think about the implications in the long run that we're putting into. We're basically putting our identity, our digital identity, our very thoughts. We're basically already in the Neuralink, just without the actual linking, without the physical linking or the implant. We're basically working on a wireless frequency, which is much slower. It's more, and I believe Musk talked about this in the Joe Rogan podcast, the first one, where he said we are linked with it because, but it's much slower because we're using our fingers to type, basically. In a way, we are linked with it, like I said countless times now. So we are putting our thoughts, and they're creating a digital identity for us in this artificial intelligence, which is kind of scary to think that our very being, our very thoughts are already in something like Google. They're already in something like Alexa. Every time we ask a question, we're basically philosophizing um, our thoughts. I mean, it's crazy to think about that, and I don't necessarily think it's a good thing. I think it has the potential to be a good thing, but I think it could be a very deadly thing, a thing that takes over the world, such as a Skynet, where we lose control. But we're the ones that are allowing to program the AI and increase it more and more and more and more, to the point where it becomes a beast system, a system of tracking, a system of we know who exactly you are, which the majority, I would say probably 70% of the AI does know who we are. It knows 70% of us. Um, and I think that's crazy. I think that this event is going to be interesting. I may even do a live stream on Friday. We will see, of this event, because actually I think I'll go ahead and do that. Um, that'll be 3 p.m. Pacific. I think that is 4 p.m. Mountain Time, and on the East Coast that'll be 5 p.m. So yeah, I think that'll, or on the East Coast it'd be 6 p.m. I believe. I don't know. I'm getting times mixed up. Um, But I do believe that this is going to be interesting, and I will do a short live broadcast just for this. The merging of technology. Can we see this week? Are we going to see the first human merging of technology? If so, this will be a huge deal. Um, it's kind of scary, to be honest with you. If I'm quite honest, from a personal perspective, I think it will be scary to see that happen. Um, but who knows? Who knows what we're gonna see? But tune in. We will be doing a live stream of that on Friday. But on to the next article. This is from the Blaze TV. I'm not a huge fan of Glenn Beck. I think he is too staunch conservative rhino Republican. I want to state that first before reading this article here. Never been a fan of his. When CRTV merged with Blaze TV, I was very disappointed. They had a lot of good commentators leave when they did do that, so they sold out to the Blaze TV, and I haven't been a fan of the Blaze TV. I do like Steven Crowder from the Blaze TV, but other than that, I don't really care for Glenn Beck and his reports, so on and so forth, because I do think he's too much of a rhino establishment Republican. However, he did do a excuse me. He did do a article. Gosh, he did do an article in a show where, well, he's supposed to do the show tomorrow, where 800 documents were leaked about the education system this year, especially when it comes to online education and what they're actually teaching our children. He claims that this is indoctrination. These leaked documents reveal disturbing lessons our schools are planning to teach. He states that I believe in understanding other people, but that's not what this is. And what this is from the Blaze TV. They claim that, and there is some, in fact, there is some, I have to bring it up here now. There's some backing to their claims. And there's some backing to their claims, and I'm going to bring up this article now here. Just give me 1 second. Let's see. I'm trying to find it here. Okay. Right here from Zen Project, which is education, teaching people's history. This is what we want to believe. So this is what schools are now using. Also, Rethinking Schools is implementing this into the education system, especially for this year, due to the racial tensions. If you look up the article, What We Want, What We Believe, teaching with the Black Panthers 10-point program. And that's exactly what's happening in the schools, is they are teaching the Black Panthers 10-point program, which consists of this. This is what they want to teach the children in school this year. The Black Panthers 10-point program. We want freedom. We want power to determine the destiny of our Black and oppressed communities. We want full employment. These are the Black Panthers' demands that they are now teaching in your school, in your education, public education system across America. They are teaching what the Black Panthers want. We want decent housing. We want to end the robbery by the capitalists of our Black oppressed communities. We want decent education for our people that expose the true nature of this decadent American society. We want education that teaches us our true history, our role in the present day society. We want completely free healthcare for all Black and oppressed people. We want an immediate end to police brutality and murder of Black people, all oppressed people inside the United States. We want immediate end to all wars. We want, that's the only one I agree with. We want freedom for all black suppressed people now held in the United States federal. So they want everybody who is, all the black people who are held in a federal jail or prison, they want them released. And they want land, they want bread, they want housing, that they want education, justice, peace, and people's community. Basically, a Marxist agenda demanded by the Black Lives Matter, well, same thing, Black Panthers, that they're teaching your programming your kids, teaching them the 10-point program of oppression from the federal government. Basically, after reading this, from my understanding, this is a Marxist demand. They want to eliminate private property. They want housing for all their people, but they never mention any other race. And they want federal prisoners released. So it doesn't matter if you're a killer, rapist, or whatever, we want you released. This is dangerous rhetoric. We are programming these kids in these universities, in these public education systems to accept this crap into their brain. This is so wrong. You should be understanding of other people's beliefs, like Glenn Beck stated, but you should not force other people's beliefs onto children. It is so wrong. And now we're talking about drag queen story time, teaching them about gay history, so on and so forth. But yet they can't even pray in school. They can't even bring a Bible school. They can't even teach anything about biblical history or moral history. No, they want to teach immoral freaking crap about how white people are the enemy. White people have white privilege. White people are the ones oppressing, when their very own freaking people are oppressing other races as well. It's ridiculous, folks. I think it's so wrong. And I'm pissed about that. That they're going to teach this to our children in the education system. Now, there was an article that I covered yesterday about the U.S. Postal Service endorsing Biden. Actually, I didn't cover it. I take that back. I talked about the Postal Service, but I did not cover this particular article. I talked about it, but I did not cover it. Now, this came out a couple days ago. The Postal Carriers Union, the people who are handling your ballots, as I said yesterday, are now endorsing Joe Biden. Democrats, backed by Biden, have sought $3.6 billion to help equip states for an expected surge of mail-in ballots, as well as a $25 billion to shore up the Postal Service. So we're looking at a $28.6 billion fund for the failing post office, who doesn't even know how to handle your packages. God forbid if they even get them to you on time, which they can't even do. All the money in the world is not going to save the post office, and it's not going to make them better. They make $16 an hour, and yet they're still irresponsible with the packages. They're even more irresponsible with these ballots. Joe Biden gained a presidential endorsement from the National Association of Letter Carriers on Friday. This is last Friday. A union that boasts nearly 300,000 active and retired post office. How are you still considered part of the union when you're retired and considered part of the endorsement? Vice President is and will continue to be a fierce ally, defender of the post office. Together, Biden and Harris fully exhibit the experience and dedication, thoughtful and steady hand that will work to endorse carriers. So the post office, the people who want to handle your ballots, are now endorsing Biden. So if you don't think that they have a bias, then I don't know. I just don't know. We need to stop this mail-in ballot thing. before it becomes a thing, because it's really deadly, and they really do have a reason to say that the election could be rigged. And I'm frankly surprised that the president has not said anything about them endorsing Biden. Lately, he's been wanting to kind of watch what he says, I noticed. Um, and the fact that he still wants to pump money in the post office, I think, is kind of stupid. I think we need to privatize the post office and really let open the economy for the post office, let competition in. And it'll be great for the economy. I think it'll be a great thing. But mail-in ballots are wrong. We need to vote in person. As I said yesterday, it's not 1887 anymore. And I do not trust these postal workers now, as even more, especially since they have endorsed Biden. And it's just disgusting to see that people are so brainwashed into supporting the post office. Oh, poor post office, post office, blah. They did it to themselves for being so incompetent. Why should we bail out the post office? People always complain about us bailing out billion-dollar companies, but yet they're not complaining about bailing out the post office and giving useless money to a failing freaking company like, well, they're not a company, but a failing, I guess they're a federal company, a failing thing like the post office. And in other news, a woman was rebuffing a BLM protester who got into her face and was telling her, "Are you a Christian? Are you a Christian?" They were furious. They demanded her to actually raise her fist with them, and she just stood there doing nothing, um, which is good. She restrained herself from engaging with these Nazis in Black Lives Matter. And yes, Black Lives Matter is a Nazi organization, in my opinion, because they have demands. I mean, they're basically a terrorist organization who are demanding things out of people. If you don't do, it's that concept of join or die, like I was talking about with the AI. It's like, if you do not do this, we will destroy you. That's exactly what communism and the communist ideology is all about. It's all about this mentality of, if you don't do what we say, we will kill you and destroy you and basically character assassinate you. That's what's happening in America today with this Black Lives Matter thing, and just the disgusting amount of hate from that organization, which I compared to the KKK. Both groups are a hate organization, and YouTube, who knows if YouTube will take me down for or demonetize me, even though I don't have my videos monetized, but who knows if they'll take this video down for saying that. I certainly hope not, but both of them are terrorist organizations. They both need to be held accountable. I think Antifa needs to be, or Black Lives Matter needs to be held as accountable as Antifa, because we're seeing a continuous flow of riots, since the murder of George Floyd. And this Jacob Blake thing really divided Americans, because a lot of Americans are saying it's justified. On the other side, you hear people saying, well, it was a killing and he got shot in the back. As I said before, I don't think it's right he got shot in the back, but I don't necessarily think it's wrong that he got shot in the first place, because, I was saying this yesterday or a couple days ago, and these people have this particular mentality of where they say, hey, we're afraid of the police, okay? We're afraid the police are going to kill us. And police are trigger happy. That mentality. And then they turn around and they do what exactly Jacob Blake did. If you're so afraid of the cops and you know for a fact in your head, as a black man, as an African American man, you know if this is your mentality, if this is the way you're thinking, you know that police are deadly and trigger happy. This is what you're thinking. Why on earth would you resist arrest? Why on earth would you walk away from cops and reach inside your car? Now, to me, the way he did it was thinking that he was above the law, that he could just go on his happy way and go into his car and reach for whatever he was reaching for. So why would you do that logically? Not even I would do that with a police officer. I certainly wouldn't do that because I know the potential. I know that my life could end if I am irresponsible with this. If I act out in a stupid way, I'm going to get shot. And yeah, I don't think he should have got shot in the back, but really, if you think police are so trigger happy, like his sister and his father are claiming, then why on earth would you do what he did? I believe it was his sister. Now I have to look this up, so bear with me, but I believe it was his sister that claimed that she can no longer trust white people. Now I'm gonna see if this is I don't want to pity you. Let's see. It was someone in the Blake family that said they can't trust white people. I'm not seeing it here, but I did see the video of them saying that. I'm trying to find it for you. Let's see. Give me a minute. Bear with me. So, but the fact that they said that they're trying to fight racism with racism, that's just the end of it. I mean, that's basically what it is. You cannot fight fire with fire, and you cannot think you're above the law no matter what your skin color is. If it's black, white, gray, whatever, you're not above the law. And with Jacob Blake, I think he thought he was above the law. Keep in mind, I don't think he should have got shot in the back, but you can't think you're above the law and not expect to somehow be have force used against you. I think that's the end of this news cycle, but I just wanted to kind of I can't say it. Reiterate. I can't say it. The articles, and I think it's crazy. And Kenosha, Wisconsin, last night, of course, one of the biggest stories I want to end with this was a particular 17-year-old was arrested for shooting a couple protesters. I'm not sure if he killed them. I'm trying to look that up here. I think he killed them. But he was arrested for that. And basically, again, another divide, just as the Jacob Blake thing happened. This is another thing. In response, we had the riots, which are wrong in the first place. There's no need to be rioting and acting a fool and think you're above the law. Again, these people think they're above the law. I can't find the article right now, but this individual basically shot people. Actually, he did kill someone. He shot someone in the head, and they arrested him. And the controversy is whether or not the video shows that he was defending himself from these people who were trying to supposedly take his gun, or what did he shoot them in cold blood? Or no, not only that, but was he even supposed to be out there? He was supposedly protecting other people's property, not necessarily his, which is not legal in the first place. You're not legally supposed to be protecting other people's private property unless asked by them and given permission by them. So I don't think he should have been out there in the first place. I think that was just a plain stupid move by this individual. But I necessarily don't think he should have been attacked by these radical protesters as the media continues. All these articles I've looked through today and online, they continue to call these people protesters. They're protesting. They're protesters. We see this throughout the media. They will not call them rioters. They will not call them violent people. They continue to defend them because this is part of their agenda. And I guarantee you, if Donald Trump is reelected, this will continue. And Michelle Obama stated that. She said that the riots will continue if Trump is elected. And it's only going to get harder, she stated, if Trump is elected, that more events will happen. But yeah, a protester was shot in the head. I mean, on both sides, you can't expect there not to be repercussion for your actions if you're going out there defending other people's property when you weren't asked. You're going to get in trouble. You're going to get arrested if you're shooting someone on that is not your private property. If you're shooting someone on someone else's property, you should be arrested. That's just the law. That's how legality works. But you do have the right to defend yourself still. But see, it was still ignorant of him to be out there defending other people's property. But we continue to see these riots, and I frankly hope they stop. And it's sad, and it makes me angry to see people defending these looters, and these rioters and these criminals. They continue to go to the highest arguments to defend them in every single way. A defense and defense. Now, concluding everything in this broadcast is, should the president send the National Guard? Right now, he's letting the states decide. And it goes back to, where is martial law or the Insurrection Act really needed? Like, when do we really, really need it? Now, I'm not saying martial law for the whole United States, but there could be an instance where these states get out of control, these cities are rioters, and where the president does have to call in the Insurrection Act. So where do we draw the line? That's my question to the viewers tonight, or this afternoon. Where do we draw that line where we need the National Guard in, where the police force can no longer be responsible because they've been told to back down? So yeah, that's my question. But I want to conclude this broadcast with you and encourage you to join us tomorrow night for the closing night of the RNC, where the president will speak along with many other speakers. Last night's broadcast was really fun. We'll do more news articles tomorrow before the start of the RNC. You can expect that broadcast to start about 6 o'clock or 6:30, where we will go through the news, and we will, of course, end the night with the RNC. And of course, Friday, join us for the Neuralink broadcast, where we'll be watching what is going to happen with Elon Musk's Neuralink. But again, my question is, where do we draw the line as American citizens, where we have to defend ourselves, or where does the government draw the lines where they have to do the Insurrection Act? So just a thought to leave you guys with on this broadcast. But again, I'm Daniel Chico. This is the Fight for Liberty at thefightforliberty.com. And we will see you tomorrow night at the RNC. Not at the RNC, but streaming with the RNC. And we hope you enjoy this broadcast. I'm Daniel Chico, and this is the Fight for Liberty.